that kind of style of wrestling was much more common in sort of long-lasting feuds that would come around, but certainly in ECW. So yes, that is our first match, and we'll be getting to our next one. We go to a match from World of Sport, Matt, in the UK scene. The first time we've hit this, but obviously I had a lot of emails. We've got a lot of, I guess I had a few emails from people that used to watch World of Sport, so it shows you the diversity in age groups that we have listening to us, Matt, because if they were watching it then, we certainly have ticked off that box. But yes, I will take anything like that, absolutely no doubt about it. And we've got a match here between Johnny Saint versus Mick McManus, World of Sport. Again, you can get this on YouTube, but you want to go for the one, because there are a couple of matches between these two. You want the one that is 17 minutes 50 seconds, and in the details you'll see it was from 1976, 4th of December 1976. So if you get that one, you can join us for our second match of this wrestling art. So the match we've come from Puerto Rico back onto home soil, but a long time before. Maybe if we're led to believe when it was 1986, we're going back 10 years now, and we're in the UK scene. Yep. So here we are. So I'm going to count everyone down. 3, 2, 1, and we're on. So Matt, how familiar are you with E-Release 2 and World of Sport in general?
Well, I've heard of Mick McManus. I've seen a few of his matches, but I probably should be more familiar with this kind of scene, but I'm not terribly familiar with it. I mean, all I've seen is a few bits from the documentaries and all these other little bits that I've seen, but not exactly something that I go back to too often and watch.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Mick McManus. I've met him a few times. He's a great guy. He was very, very entertaining. Regarded as probably the greatest heel in our sort of UK scene. Everybody hated the guy, but was a fantastic character wrestler for the time. And Johnny Saint, I heard of him as well. In fact, I think he was at like a Comic-Con that you and I may both have gone to last year. I think he was one of the guys that was in the World of Sport Legends group that was there. I'm pretty sure of that at the time. And he's very well sort of regarded back then. But yeah, World of Sport, again, we unfortunately, I mean, we live in the UK, myself and Matt, but this is the thing, we don't have much access to this stuff. This was like an ITV, which is like a channel in the UK, and I'm led to believe, Matt, that it's all this footage from World of Sport is locked away, and no one can get at it because I'm led to believe as well, a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago in fact, WWE had put in a bid to try and buy it, but I don't know if it's just because ITV catched on just how big WWE is, but they weren't going to sell cheap, and WWE thought better of it. But yeah, I mean, all this great footage just not out there at all, really. Like, there's probably so much as well, unfortunately, we just can't get at. So many great wrestlers, and even the likes of a young Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy, even Brett wrestled over here as well. So I mean, there's been lots of guys that have come through this system, but because UK wrestling was regarded as its own style, and if you could go to the UK and perform there, it was you were going to be of a good standard. So it's a shame that we don't get to hear about more of it, Matt, but unbelievable when you think it's just collecting dust on a shelf somewhere currently.
Yeah, I mean, so much here, so much that I'm surprised it's not even just on on a late night, because sometimes they put real rubbish on late at night on ITV, in the early hours of the morning. This would be much better suited.
Yeah, I think I know Jim Cornette was interested in buying it as well, because he gets a lot of this stuff, and but he seemed to believe that he felt that back then it wasn't unheard of for a TV station to record over the reel. So you'd air it and then you'd record over it. So it means you wouldn't be able to archive any of that old stuff because they would have just taped over, which would have been a disaster when you look at things now and how kind of how much they could have sold it for altogether. So if that is the case, that's a disaster on their part. But yeah, World of Sport was very much a part of the UK society at one time. I mean, you wouldn't think of it, Matt, but 1970s, 1960s, they were wrestling in an afternoon was very much the thing to watch. Whereas of course now it's very much phased out, and we are where we are. But to go into this match, Johnny Saint, Mick McManus, as I said, always regarded as probably the heel back then for everybody. The guy that everybody wanted to hate. And had a very long career, to the point where I think he worked for World of Sport towards the end, helped produce it and all the rest of it. So, and up against Johnny Saint. Matt, what are you taking from this so far, and the early parts of this match and the style in general?
Yeah, this one I see very different to all the other ones that we've seen. This one seems very much like he's playing to the crowd and all for their entertainment, and you can see the facial expressions and that, and the way they're like, "Oh no, stop! You're hurting me," all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little bit overacted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, here, this was. I mean, the style of wrestling that you're going to see here is probably different to anything else that you do get out there. I mean, British wrestling did have its own style at the time. There's no doubt about it. It was very much holds, technical, sort of how you get out of things. Probably the closest that we've seen from the NWA days, Matt, really, that was still going on in this sort of era. But regarded as very much that. I love that little move there on the armbar there that he's trying to hold it in. Again, very technical wrestling, I guess, that this was back then. Very technical indeed, mixed in with a little bit of your entertainment as well. Everyone, of course, lots of people say, why didn't it work out? Did they not, get on the right bandwagon with the entertainment side of things? Possibly, yes, but it definitely has. It holds well. I think there's still a lot to learn from British wrestling in general. If you go back and watch it, it still definitely has things that you've never seen anywhere else. It's very unique in that way. Matt, I take it you're not that familiar with Johnny Saint in general?
No, not really. Not at all, really, no. That seems to be the general trend that's come along with matches. I usually know one of them, and the other one's quite new to me.
Well, one's better than none, I suppose. You've got to remember that. I love I don't know what that is the referee is wearing there, but that's quite a shirt, isn't it?
Yeah.
He definitely is standing out, this guy. He definitely wants to be part of the act, doesn't he? You can tell. Definitely wants to get in there by going out like that, that's for sure.
Couldn't find a white shirt, I assume.
No, typical. I love the reversals and the intertwined in between these two guys thus far. Johnny Saint seems very... that's the end of a round right there, if people are wondering what the hell's going on. There were rounds in World of Sport. So it was considered, again, I suppose if you're looking at it in a competitive sense, it kind of holds well with that, but people are not familiar with seeing that in professional wrestling. Not even back in the 50s they were doing that in the NWA, but this was a UK kind of thing. And I mean, I suppose, Matt, it kind of stems from possibly the boxing at the time, and perhaps they felt like they had to have that inclusion of rounds rather than just a time limit. But in a lot of respects, it kind of makes it at least unique, different from anything else that's out there. So at least they have that kind of advantage to use it. Mick McManus there just getting the one up on his opponent. Now Mick McManus, I mean, his career is legendary in this country. Like he had a long career. I believe he was only beat twice, I think, in his whole career, Matt. One of the times was very controversial, be it from Cat Weasel. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
No, another one that's...
yeah, Cat Weasel was famous because... Well, he got famous very fast because he beat Mick McManus when he wasn't supposed to. And there was a bit of I believe there was a bit of a scuffle after, and it got a bit heated. But he wanted the rub a little bit. Let's just say if it was a bit like going against the Undertaker or Goldberg, and just thinking, so how can I make myself quite famous very quickly, get the win? So it's kind of what he'd done, and then there was this kind of long feud going out. So now was that a pin right there? I believe it was, wasn't it? So am I led to believe that was a pin?
Like,
was
yeah.
that first pin
It's,
up?
it's always hard to tell when you have got the sound.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Out, but I believe so.
Yeah. So I think that gets announced. Nick McManus, there's no way. Yeah, I thought he was going to get on the mic then. He was very good at that, winding everybody up. But a real character, Mick McManus for sure. Definitely knew the psychology of the business, ahead of his time in that sense. He definitely knew how to wind the crowd up doing stuff. So always regarded as the man you love to hate, for sure. And back then, just trying to find out McManus's entire wrestling career from when he started. Well, no, it's definitely over 20 years, but he was probably, according to Wikipedia at least, he was probably the most watched wrestler in the UK in all that time. So he was definitely the most famous. I think he lived up in Chelsea as well through most of his career, most of his life. And yeah, I probably didn't buy that game, but apparently he was featured in Legends of Wrestling 2. I don't know that I bought the second one of that game. I think I only got the first.
Yeah.
I do remember those games.
Yeah, I do remember that now, yeah.
Just reading this on here. God, he's like got him by the ears then and just chucked him over, Johnny Saint. Now Johnny Saint, from just watching him in this match, Matt, he seems a very tidy wrestler. Whatever he does seems very crisp.
Sound.
Yeah, he'd be like, I mean, he reminds me of what we saw in that Cruiserweight Classic. He'd be that kind of wrestler, that sort of style. He would have probably fit in that very well.
Yeah.
Nice little flip up in between there of getting turned down. That was nice. And there we go. There's another pin. So that's one each now. You know what's nice about British wrestling? There were very few guys, Matt, that had a distinguished finisher. So you never knew when a pin was coming back then. You didn't have to have the finisher to know it was going to end. They were out of anywhere, which was kind of a cool thing. So Mick McManus is complaining, which is I love that. Chucks his towel in the corner. He's had enough. He wants to get straight into it. But very impressed with just the quickness of it when it needs to get quick. Because I think, Matt, a lot of people, when you talk about world of sport, they immediately think, that's that rubbish lot. It's the wrestling that I wouldn't enjoy. It's not quick enough. It's not, But to be honest, okay, the pace might look different, but it's quite fast. I mean, it's not exactly slow. And I've seen, considering where we are in the time zone, this is 1976. It's probably quite a lot quicker than the old WWF was back in the day when it first come around. So it's not that slow, I don't think, is what people probably first think. Because all I'm seeing is quite a pacey, technical match going on right now, and this would go down as sort of like a very good match in like an NXT or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it's a lot faster than what I was expecting. I would say that, and I like the way that they're showcasing his agility and his technical abilities. And this move, you don't see this every day, do you?
That's very impressive. I've never seen that put into a flipping forward slam. That's just crazy stuff. It takes a lot of strength to do that. Like I say, besides that, Matt, we talk about the audience in this very much.